Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is being said that America came within a quarter of an inch from civil war. If the bullet intended for Donald Trump had found its target, US would have descended into chaos. The former president of the world's most powerful country was shot and injured in an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, in the middle of what has been an extremely heated and acrimonious US election campaign. One person was killed while trying to shield his family, and 3 others were injured, including Trump himself. When the wannabe assassin Thomas Crook's bullet grazed Trump's ear and he fell to the ground and got back up with a bloodied ear and shouted, "Fight, fight, fight," in an act of defiance while surrounded by officials of the Secret Service, it seemed for a moment that a bitterly divided election campaign would unite the country. We have with us today 2 eyewitnesses who saw the events unfold in front of them. Jason Del Vecchio is a Trump supporter hailing from Connecticut and who was in Pennsylvania to track his leader's campaign. Johnny Palmadesa is a Democrat supporter who was meeting Republican voters wondering why they were voting for Trump, and both their lives now stand changed after they witnessed something they'd never imagined they would. Thank you very much for joining us, Jason and Johnny. Jason, let me ask you first. Simply, you were an eyewitness to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1 person was killed, 2 were injured, and Donald Trump was shot at, but he survived within less than an inch of losing his life, literally. What exactly did you see?
So the first thing I saw and heard was the bullets impacting the machine that was holding up one of the speaker systems. And then I guess one of the bullets hit the hydraulic line, and then the fluid started spraying out, and then the machine boom came down. And then the next thing we noticed simultaneously was Trump, going down to the ground. Secret Service all jumped on top of him. And yeah, we were in shock. We got down because we didn't know how many shooters there were or what they were shooting at. Didn't know if there was going to be more gunfire. And then as soon as the gunfire had stopped, I went and got to a little bit safer of a position outside of the fence line. I hopped over the fence and I took cover under a police car.
Must have been a shattering experience. And Johnny, what did you see? Why don't you share with our viewers? Because I've seen the video that you put out. Absolutely shocking and shattering experience for you.
It might have been one of the most horrifying moments in my life. I was in the crowd. I had traveled from the other side of the state to be there so that I could meet voters who I didn't necessarily agree with on the talking points. I am a Democrat. They were a crowd of Republicans, and yet the conversations that unfolded were great nonetheless. While I was there, it broke my heart to see people shielding their children from bullets, husbands jumping on their wives, mothers jumping on their children, elderly people practically giving up because they weren't able to get out quick enough. This is something that was entirely preventable, and it really should be an awakening moment for Congress. I watched with my own eyes this massive crowd of people rushing towards me with... Sorry, I was getting emotional. I always get emotional when I talk about this part. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I understand.
I watched this massive crowd of people rush toward me. I watched mothers shielding their children, husbands shielding their wives, and families just trying to get out with the hope of not being hit by a bullet. And it's something that shouldn't have happened, and something that should be a call for Congress to act on immediately.
Well, you did, Jason, see this image that's gone completely viral of the bullet just going past Donald Trump after grazing his ear. When did you realize that he had been injured? Because it must all have happened in a fraction of a second.
Almost immediately, because after he had stood up and put his hand in the air, we could see the blood on his ear. And we didn't know how bad it was. We were hoping, I mean, it was just a graze, but for him to be bleeding but then standing was quite impressive. So we knew he wasn't that badly injured, or was hoping that it wasn't just the adrenaline taking over and, you know, allowing him to stand for a short period of time. But we're very happy that he made it.
Well, but Johnny, where exactly were you when all of this happened? How far were you from the stage where Donald Trump was, and what exactly was the distance? Did you see the shooter? Describe for our viewers.
Yes, so I was at the front of the crowd originally, and I was on the phone with my mother at the time, and I think of her as my guardian angel now, because she had said to me, you know, that heat might be getting to you. It was like almost 100 degrees outside. And I said, you know what? You're probably right. And I was sick and tired of the nonsense spewing out of former President Trump's mouth during the speech anyhow. So I said, I think it's time for me to go. So I started walking towards the back. I was in the middle of the crowd by this point looking for an exit. And that's when the first bullets went off. And I saw the president drop. And I decided it's time to get out of there. I started running. I filmed a little video clip, and you can hear that last bullet go off in the video. And you can see Secret Service spring into action to get folks out of there. And it was at that moment that I realized the severity of the situation.
I really wonder what your mind would have been full of at that time. Jason, how did you respond when Trump got up, waved his fist at the crowd and cried out, "Fight, fight," when surrounded by the Secret Service? Take us through that special moment when you knew that he was safe and he was ready to fight back. What did you feel when you actually saw that unfolding in front of your eyes?
It was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, because we all thought in that, 5 seconds it took him to stand up, we're like, oh no, he just got assassinated. And then to see him stand up and pump his fist in the air was quite remarkable. It was very moving.
Well, finally, Johnny, what are the implications of this entire incident? How has America changed after this? And how will this impact elections that are due to take place in November?
I think that this should serve as a uniting moment for all of us. Going forward, we should take a lesson from this, that the only way we're going to survive as a country is if we work together, and if we meet in the middle somewhere to get things done.
Well, and Jason, what did people around you think? What were they talking about? What was the vibe when they saw Donald Trump rise up again?
When everyone saw him stand up and put his fist in the air, the crowd went berserk. Everyone was screaming and cheering, USA, USA, like very quickly. It was quite a surreal scene to see everyone that excited that he was still alive. It was very cool.
Well, Jason and Johnny, thank you very much for joining me here on the Newshour tonight. Shaken up, Jason and Johnny, but here to tell us and relive those moments that must have shaken them up for a lifetime. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight.